flight, but I wanna have fun all night. I could've took this girl if I wanted, but I ain't into throwing dirty laundry in the public. I can always make something out of nothing, cause I know how it was when it wasn't. Falling ships and murder that she wrote. Combination, always drink and smoke. Apathy could help the way I roll, cause I'm selective on how much I show. Time will tell, don't show me what I know. Know you have to only go for broke. You look good but act just like a hoe. You look good but I really want nothing but a good time. I ain't here for the fuck shit, paying no mind. If you're trying to show me substance, bring it on mine. I really want nothing but a good time. I really can't stress this enough. I always gotta keep it at a buck. I rather have money than lust, but I'ma look twice if she got a big butt. I have a hard time with trust. Hard time love is a new fine drug. It's okay, I'ma fill my cup. It's okay, I'ma still turn up. Pull up, girl, to berry wine. You love to dance and you love to fight. Pull up, girl, to berry wine. I love the dancing, I love the night. Pull up, girl, to berry wine. You love to dance and you love to fight. Pull up, girl, to berry wine. I love the dancing. I really want nothing but a good time. I ain't here for the fuck shit, paying no mind. If you're trying to show me substance, bring it on mine. I really want nothing but a good time. Why don't you just pull up, girl, to berry wine. You love to dance and you love to fight. Pull up, girl, to berry wine. I love the dancing, I love the night. Pull up, girl, to berry wine. You love to dance and you love to fight. Pull up, girl, to berry wine. I love the dancing, I love the night. But I wanna have fun all night. I could've took this girl if I wanted, but I ain't into throwing dirty laundry in the public. I can always make something out of nothing, cause I know how it was when it wasn't. Falling ships and murder that she wrote. Combination, always drink and smoke. Apathy could help the way I roll, cause I'm selective on how much I show. Time will tell, don't show me what I know. Know you have to only go for broke. You look good but act just like a hoe. You look good but I really want nothing but a good time. I ain't here for the fuck shit, paying no mind. If you're trying to show me substance, bring it on mine. I really want nothing but a good time. I really can't stress this enough. I always gotta keep it at a buck. I rather have money than lust, but I'ma look twice if she got a big butt. I have a hard time with trust. Hard time love is a new fine drug. It's okay, I'ma fill my cup. It's okay, I'ma still turn up. Pull up, girl, to berry wine. You love to dance and you love to fight. Pull up, girl, to berry wine. I love the dancing, I love the night. Pull up, girl, to berry wine. You love to dance and you love to fight. Pull up, girl, to berry wine. I love the dancing. I really want nothing but a good time. I ain't here for the fuck shit, paying no mind. If you're trying to show me substance, bring it on mine. I really want nothing but a good time. Why don't you just pull up, girl, to berry wine. You love to dance and you love to fight. searching. I quit searching. Quit searching. Quit searching. I quit searching for you. For you. I quit searching for you.
I just wish people could hear what goes on behind the scenes. Welcome to another episode of Butterfly Blackout. I'm your host, Emily, along with Truth and Jeff. Hopefully, everybody had a wonderful week. It's gorgeous outside, a little cold, but tomorrow will be even better. Cherry blossoms are out. People are taking pictures. The parks are crowded. COVID is gone. But then I just found out a Big Ange star contracted COVID a few days ago and died. Remember Big Ange from Mob Wives?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a star from her spinoff show just died from COVID.
Oh, but not her.
Big Ange been dead.
Was she?
She died from cancer a long time ago. Yeah, it was so sudden because she got diagnosed, she went through treatment, and then she didn't get better. She was on Dr. Oz and everything.
That sucks.
It does suck. But anyway, rest in peace. So everyone thinks that the new voter restrictions in Georgia are racist against black people. We spoke about this before. And I said my theory was I don't think this has anything to do with black people. I really think this has to do with illegals having the opportunity to vote in our elections. And I think that's what's going on. But what can I say? So one of the racist things people are saying is having an ID. This is just preposterous to have an ID. Well, I know here in Jersey, if you purchase NyQuil, you need an ID. They scan your little driver's license before you can purchase NyQuil. So if they do that here in Jersey, I think they do it in other states as well, maybe. But it's so racist to have an ID. Don't you need an ID to board a plane? Fellas? Don't you need an ID to board a plane?
Well, you started a process where you say
Exactly. I'm waiting for the truth.
Oh, my bad. That's what y'all was waiting for? Okay. So, my bad. I messed that up. I just started that process. I messed it up. All right. So, the Georgia House passed a bill stripping Delta Airlines of a multi-million tax break after it criticized the state's election reform. Side note. Delta Airlines CEO says he opposes Georgia's unacceptable voter ID laws. Currently, a photo ID is required in order to fly with Delta Airlines. So if it's racist to have an ID to vote, is it racist to have an ID to fly? If you don't want Georgians to have an ID to vote, then maybe we shouldn't have IDs to fly and everybody can get on a plane and go about their business, right? They don't have to prove who they are.
Cool.
I don't know. Now, here's the big thing. Georgia's next runoff is November 8th, 2022. We have a year and maybe 7 months?
Yeah.
I put 8 months, but I think it's 7 months now. So, you have an entire year to stock up on bottled water. If you choose to stand in line for a long time, you can order your absentee ballots, and you can get the proper identification. But again, this is all so racist and against black people, and it's trying to oppress black people. What do you say to having an entire year and 7 months to stock up on bottled water? You can even get the gallon waters and fill it up with water and bring it with you while you're online because it's going to be hot in November. Is it hot in November in Georgia? I have no idea. But if you are hot, you have your bottled water. I know here in Jersey, when people stand in line, they carry their water bottles and they carry food with them, snacks, the protein bars. That's what they do because they know they're going to be in line for a minute. They don't complain, but apparently it's oppressing black people everywhere. Now, they're coming out with a vaccine passport. Are you going to get the vaccine passport? Because I'm trying to understand. If an ID is oppression of black people, but you need an ID to buy NyQuil, you need an ID to fly a plane, you probably need an ID to do a lot of other things, buy cigarettes, whatever, prove your age. You need an ID to buy alcohol because they have to prove that you're over the age of 21 or over the age of 18, whatever. But you probably don't need an ID to have a passport for your vaccination. But if they're making you have a passport to show that you've been vaccinated so you can go from state to state, get into venues, isn't that oppressing people? Because some people don't want the vaccine. And you don't need everybody to get the vaccine. So, okay, let's go back. You're saying black people are oppressed because they're asking you to get proper ID, and you have a whole year and 7 months to get your ID. But people in Georgia are too slow to go and file and fill out the paperwork to get proper IDs. Is that what we're saying? You need an ID to buy medication. You need an ID to do other things. You need an ID to fly a plane. But see, Delta Airlines is telling you it's racist for you all to have an ID, but they demand that you have an ID. But I guess they don't expect people from Georgia to fly their planes. You could go to Continental for that, right? Okay. Rapper DMX is fighting for his life after a drug overdose.
All right.
Yes. So we don't know if he's going to make it. A lot of people are saying prayers up at this point in time. You know, the people that care so much that they put a post on Twitter and then they have to take that photo of Twitter and post it on Instagram so you know that they're saying prayers up. Now we know that he used to do crack, or he probably still does crack. I've never heard of anybody overdosing on crack. Is that possible?
Yes.
Oh, it is possible? Okay.
Crack? Yes.
I thought that he was doing a good job with being sober. The last photo or video that we saw of him, he was with his fiance. He was jamming. He was doing good. So we're not sure what happened. All we know, he probably got a bad batch. And then, poof, someone tried to take him out. But then again, I think we're headed into a new season where we're about to see a lot more deaths. I don't like to speak ill of that, but just mark my words. Love guru Derrick Jackson and his wife now have a podcast called Heal Together.
Nice. That's a good spin.
My hero. My hero. Oh my gosh.
I'm not even mad at this, okay? This is great marketing. His wife has now become a star with over 94.8 thousand followers on Instagram. Kudos to all of you that are following her. You just gave her some bang for her buck. Is that how you say it? Or buck for her bang?
Bang for your buck. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not good with words like that or catchphrases, but it is what it is. So I applaud her and them and give her flowers. I am concerned about the mistress, though, because I know that he has
Which one?
feelings for her, the
Yeah,
doctor.
one? Oh,
The doctor. The one that he made wait before she got the abortion because he's like, I mean, listen, the sex was good. He nutted inside her, so there was an anticipation of getting her pregnant. He'll probably try to trap her again.
But he was nutting inside the other one, too.
Listen, women are just as guilty as men. Men may not
Takes
like to
two
wear a
to
condom,
tango.
but women probably don't like it either. I mean, they
Right.
like to feel the nakedness of a penis. You know, sometimes it makes them feel like, you know, the guy really likes them. I don't know.
Damn, that's rough.
That is
That's
rough.
rough. That's rough.
Last but not least, Sharon Osbourne exited the talk with a $10 million payout.
That's a
So
good
now
deal.
if you're racist and you go on TV and you have a big contract, just speak your mind and they'll pay you to leave. A moment of truth. We'll let Truth go first because I know his idol, his hero.
As far as the sharing thing, this is similar to what they've been doing. Roseanne Barr,
Yes.
she went on the whole.
Hey,
racist-
Roseanne.
And then it was like, well, she's not allowed to be on the show, but it was still her show, so she was still getting paid from it.
Right.
She just wasn't allowed to be on it, which made absolutely no sense to me. If you're gonna stop it, stop it.
Yeah,
Don't let her get any kind of money or whatever. As far as Derrick, that's my hero. Derrick is my idol. I look up to him. Women been doing it for years. I think it's a genius move. I thought he was done because that is how he makes his finances, is smoothing women. And actually, his book, which he'll never ever be able to write again, and a bunch of other things.
You can tweak the book.
I mean, all that stuff, self-love and he's done with that. There's no way in that world you could write another book like that. It's just not going to happen.
I don't think so. Hold on, I disagree. Because right now he's going through a rough patch because he got exposed for his cheating ways.
Right.
But he still gave good advice. Not just like, about cheating men, but he did give some really good advice for women.
No, he didn't. And this is why I'm trying to explain, like, with the whole Derrick Jackson.
You laughing, prove his point. I just want you to know. You be like, you're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
just really,
that's
really
exactly
look,
what you're saying.
everything.
You laugh.
The man was dissing himself in third person, like he talked to himself in third person.
Yeah.
But he said on camera he was going to talk to himself in third
No,
person.
but he does
He
that
was
all
going
the
to
time.
judge Derrick Jackson. He
Well, no,
said
I'm saying that's how he does. But the entire time, the person he despised and he hated and he had no respect for was himself.
Could be self-loathing.
So this is what I'm trying to explain to people when you're talking about this whole Derrick. Every single if you want to get the man views, every issue and everything he's ever talked about was the same thing he's doing. His wife went on there and let it be known he's been cheating for years.
Well,
Not
we
a
knew
couple
that.
of months. We're talking about years.
And she was okay with it.
And this man has been spitting those knowledge as far as telling on himself. He's the greatest magician of all times.
But she
He put
profited
it-
off of it too. She eats.
Well, I'm not saying. See, her
Does she
thing
eat,
is
or is she being taken
she's
care
a
of?
she's a
She's
Bible
being taken
thumper.
care of.
She's a Bible thumper. There's a difference between
Well,
religious people and Bible thumpers, and that's who she is.
That's who she is. I
feels
agree.
God will love her more if she forgives the man who's gave her chlamydia and all this other stuff.
We don't know
Well,
what
I
you
don't
gave
know
her
he
to have.
gave
Like, you
anything.
going too far. We
I'm
don't
just
know.
saying, yeah, but it's just like a person's been cheating
I'm not
on you
even sure if they
forever
really
and ever.
slept together that much because the way he was talking about
But
her
they got
box
kids,
is
so they
whack.
had. But at the end of the day,
Maybe he stopped.
here's what you gotta understand from this standpoint. No matter how, and she's not an unattractive woman, but she does not know how to dress. They don't match at all. But if Beyonce or Halle Berry, who's considered some of the greatest looking women in the world, can get cheated on, she gonna get cheated on.
Right.
If you aren't in the limelight and you're not traveling with your husband, he's traveling by himself, he going balls deep in something. You can convince yourself whatever you want, because as good as you think you are, there's someone out there that makes you look like, and all she want to do is juggle his stuff all day long, and he not going to say no.
What does that mean, juggle his stuff?
I want your show is like not as vulgar as I am, so I was talking about teabagging. And
Why are you looking at
stuff
me?
like that.
I didn't know what that means.
You look over at me like a juggle stuff. Man.
So, like I said, I love that move, because now whatever he does, he has to include his wife in with him. So it'll help, I guess, big
That's
her
for
up.
more money.
Huh?
That's for more money.
Well, it's the only way he can make money is by including his wife in it now. Because again, in his entire social media page, he's never had his wife on the show, ever. Now, all of a sudden, everyone's bashing him, everyone's saying, Now, in order for him to do any type of career, he has to include his wife. Now, as far as the Delta stuff, again, magician. Y'all keep fooling for these magicians out here, Houdini in 2021. This is all about illegals. Has nothing to do with black people. Has nothing to do with brown people. Has nothing to do with white people. We're talking about people who are voting, who've been doing it for years, with fake IDs, non-registered, all this other stuff. We're talking about people who aren't registered, who aren't true citizens, that are being slipped in there and allowed to vote.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that's about. Just like when the whole Black Lives Matter thing, it wasn't about the Black Lives Matter. It was about the alphabet people. I'm not going through all that science.
And that's true because what they did was on their website, the organization, they took down their whole replace the man with the woman about us thing piece of their movement. So it's not even on the website anymore.
So it's again, it's all about illegals, and the Democrats love illegals because they can get them to vote, and they love the alphabet because they getting them to vote. That's who got the gentleman in Georgia, the women's basketball team, is the reason why he beat cross-eyed young lady. I don't know her name, but I don't know who she looking at. But
I just thought it's just wrong.
he's the reason. They're the reason
I
why
don't
he
know.
won.
I don't know. I just.
again.
Oh man.
Truth.
We always say, serious. I don't know the young lady. I'm sorry. Start over. If you want to fix society, start over. The majority of people who are in office, who are in power, family was slave owners. They were raised with a certain mentality.
Mm-hmm.
They were raised privileged.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was handed to them. And the ones that did get in there, they started getting all that money from these billion-dollar companies with trips and all this other stuff. All they're worried about is themselves. If you truly want to do something, then get rid of them all together. Vote for everything.
Yeah, good luck with
Every
that.
single bill because we know they're not going to do that, but that's the way it is. Stop looking for someone else to know your plight.
Did anybody ever notice that it's only the states talking about the vaccine ID, and Biden's camp was like, "Nah, we ain't gonna do it."
We don't know. We don't know where they stand with that.
He already had him put it on something else. Said he's not gonna do it.
That's what he says now. But that's if that's him, he's being controlled. So we'll see where that goes.
Lord. Oh,
I don't
Lord.
think they should have a vaccination passport. I think because that is really just keeping track, which, I mean, we have other IDs to keep track of people. You know where everybody's going. But I think it's unfair to say that you're allowed in, but you're not allowed in when you don't need 100% of the population to be vaccinated.
What if it's only for foreign travel?
It's
So you
not. They
wanna
want to do it in state. It's not just foreign
I
travel.
know, but a lot of states have started to pull back, like Cuomo started to pull back, like we don't need it state to state. He's not gonna do
Cuomo,
the
a
state
10th woman came out talking about you.
10,
Son,
he's in the teens.
can you?
You bad.
Oh, my bad.
No, you late. Homie, he's in the teens already.
Cuomo,
I said give up.
you need to just stop and just if you be like Ray J, get some booty goons
Shut
and just start knocking some people off. I don't know who you pissed off, but you pissed whoever it
We
was,
told
sir.
you that already.
Yeah.
We don't know. They didn't know if he's going to run as a Democrat or Republican, and they're scared.
And that's what I said. I
And they're
said
scared.
because I told you, you may not like Cuomo, but in reality, Cuomo should become the next president because he has stature for it, and he could give you 8 years. Now, y'all messing with him, and the Democrats are coming hard too. So if y'all want to do it like that, then become a Republican, run on that ticket, destroy Kamala Harris because you can, and then just take it. But it will become a new Republican Party. If he's the head of it, it will be a new Republican Party. Maybe that's the way to go. He ain't gonna be Fox friendly, but it'll be a different type of presidency. And I'm totally here for it. Listen, everybody has a past. Everybody has done some foul stuff. Half of you women, when the whole Me Too movement came out, y'all knew what time it was, but you sat here, waited till your pockets got fed. Anyway, or
It's
full.
not that. It's hard.
Whatever.
It's hard for women to, because just like
ain't
the
hard.
Fox thing with Murdoch and them.
You gonna tell I'm a woman, you gonna tell me it's hard to say that a man throughout a whole movement, and you have all these people backing you saying just speak your truth,
Well,
to
look at
come
what
out and
happened
say
with-
that this
that's
man
it.
made
Look at the
inappropriate.
Fox situation. You're talking about white women who are doggone their millionaires,
Yeah.
who still had a problem coming out against a trillionaire because of the power situation, or how that person can literally destroy your career.
Some
Now,
don't
if
even
you're
have no
living in a house
careers.
where your mortgage is
Yeah.
500 grand,
They had careers.
Some of them didn't have no careers.
They tried to have these
Some
political
of these
careers.
people ain't had no damn careers. So stop
Well,
feeding.
If you
it-
talk about the lady whose
delusional
house got
people.
flooded, yeah, that one was stupid. I was like, he gave you a hug, lady.
Anyways, we're gonna move on. Okay, but Cuomo, call us. Trump, call us. All right, we still gotta talk, cause I still need to know some things. All right, I'm just saying, we be objective over here. It's not Democrat, it's not Republican. We in the middle. We just want to know from everybody. We nosy. Matt Gaetz, you can call us too if you need some. We could talk. We all know what's going on, sir. He was like Mr. Cheerleader. People was rooting for you, and then all this stuff started happening. Sir, what's going on? Now, who you sleep with is who you sleep with. Was she underage? We don't know. You want to talk? This is the space to do it, sir. No judgment. Judgment free.
Oh, man.
Okay, I'm just saying. So Cuomo, Trump, Gates, Butterfly Black, I was waiting for you. In fact, I'll come to you. You ain't even have to come here. I'll come to you. All right? We can play golf. I'm not a golfer, but we can do it. Just saying. Now, for the week, I have been consumed like everybody else with the George Floyd murder trial. Officer Derrick Chauvan has been on trial for his murder. The prosecution, aka the state, has been putting together their case. They've had their witnesses, a lot of testimony. I done seen this video from the front, the back, the sides, all the way around. We done seen this video, okay, from everybody's point of view. Everybody's point of view. From the guy that was called an officer a bum, you a bum, to the old man who was telling George to just stop and get in the car. You can't do nothing. Your hands are cuffed. It's over. It was exhausting, but so fascinating. So I'm fascinated because I like trials like these. I'm a geek when it comes to stuff like this. And for me, I think differently than other people, whereas a lot of people are very emotional about this. The death of a black man who was handcuffed. I don't see it that way. I understand, but you have to be objective when it comes to trials like this, because if you're not, you're going to get your feelings hurt if it doesn't go the way you were hoping it would go. All right? You have to understand the laws. You have to understand everybody's job. You have to understand the jury's job. Okay? You have a state who's bringing a case. The state has to prove that the officer committed the crime. Okay? Then you have the defense. Y'all are mad at the defense attorney. And I'm trying to figure out why. His client pled not guilty. So he has to defend his client. I mean, that's just the way it goes. You can't get mad at him for defending his client. I don't care if he says things that y'all don't like. He still has a job to do.
What's good, Buck?
Because if he doesn't, then he could be disbarred for not doing his job. You see what I'm saying? So everybody has a role. You want to be mad at somebody, you got to be mad at the state. It's just like with the O.J. Simpson trial, right? The state had to prove that O.J. killed his wife. And what's his face?
Coleman.
And where they messed up, you had him try on the gloves. And the idiot would have never let him try on the gloves in front of the jury. That's mistake number one. Mistake number two, you had a racist cop. What did you think was going to happen? Now, when they found out that OJ was not guilty, did any white person riot over that? I'm asking y'all.
Not to my knowledge.
They ride his pockets.
So I asked that question to say this. No matter how this trial ends, nobody should be rioting anywhere. They have people out here saying that if the officer's not convicted, they're going to riot. Why would you burn down your own community? For what? So let's break this down. This is why we're going to talk about this trial, because some of y'all are just acting stupid and y'all really don't educate yourselves on what's really going on here. Stop being stupid. Don't be coming to other people's neighborhoods burning down stuff. Okay? That makes no sense. For what? The state has to prove their case. It's really, in my imagination, it's going to come down to the damn autopsy report. Okay? Where they're saying that he didn't die from being suffocated. He died from basically the drugs in the system. That's what they're saying. The state's got to prove that by having a knee on this man's neck caused his death. That's what they have to prove. Even if you have to go as far as to do a demonstration, I'm crooked enough to have a demonstration in court to show that you could die from having your knee on a neck. Now, the defense, they probably not that devious, so they ain't going to do that. They're probably going to put this man on the stand, which you're going to have to, because we need to hear from him what was going on in his mind in the process throughout the whole situation. Now, if you watch the trial, you were able to see the entire footage from beginning to end. Even, I mean, they had the witness who called the police, or actually, I think it was the supervisor. Somebody called the police. The boy in the store.
Yes.
Basically, who was given the fake $20 bill that started all this, okay? So, watching the video, people kept saying how George kept talking about how he can't breathe, right?
Okay.
In the beginning, when the officer knocked on a window, he was startled. Now, the officer had a gun drawn. Step out of the car, put your hands up, whatever. He was saying all that. George was like this, don't shoot, don't shoot. Officer said, I'm not going to shoot. Puts the gun back in the holster. But he asked him to put your hands up. He said, get back in the car, put your hands up. George wasn't listening to anything the officer was saying, okay? He was just going at a mile a minute. Then they told him to get out the car. He was struggling to get out the car. Then they had to kind of drag him out the car. They handcuffed him. He was going on a mile a minute. During that time, he kept saying how he can't breathe, he can't breathe. Why am I saying that? Because that's very important. Because everybody keeps talking about how he was laying on the ground talking about he can't breathe, he can't breathe. If he said that in the beginning, he can't breathe, and he was standing up and sitting down, and nobody was doing anything to him, medically tell us what was going on with his breathing. Because this is for the defense. Now, the defense will come to y'all and say, well, if there was something medically wrong with him, that could have contributed to why he wasn't able to breathe. He was having trouble to breathe, right? Can't get mad at that. Because remember, the defense has to prove that their client did nothing wrong. Now, we all saw what happened. He is guilty. We're going to get to that in a second. But not to what you guys think that he's guilty for. Now, take into consideration what's going on. You have him sitting down on the sidewalk, right? Because he's going crazy. You see another officer ask, well, what is he on? Because he had two friends he was traveling with. One said he just wasn't right in the head. So the officer's like, he has to be on something because he's just going crazy and nobody understands what's going on. All right, so now they're telling him to get up, walking him over to the squad car. He over here struggling because he doesn't want to get in the back of the squad car. I bet. Now he's still talking about he can't breathe, he can't breathe. Finally get him in. He claustrophobic. He don't want to sit up. They keep saying, sit up, sit up. I'll open the window for you. Sit in the car. We want to talk to you. Going through all this just to get the man to sit in the car. Then he leaned it over to the side. Now they're on the other side. End up dragging him out. Going through all this when all he had to do was just sit down, shut up, go to the damn station. That's all he had to do. But he was like this. I can't breathe. I can't do that. So everybody's saying that he can't breathe. Yeah, he's been saying that from the moment that he was in the other car. He's been saying he can't breathe. But it is what it is. This is everything that you saw on the videotape. Then you see him lying down. And then you see him, well, they had different angles. So you had different body camera views, which I thought was fascinating. But I'm thinking to myself, at some point, maybe the camera should be, I don't know, if they somewhere higher so you can see certain things. Because if there's a lot of things going on and a lot of commotion, you can't see anything really. Because you don't know what's going on until it all calms down. But then the officer put his knee on his neck, and then that's when all hell broke loose, okay? Now, is he guilty? We all know he's guilty, but guilty of what exactly? This is what they have to prove. The state has to prove this. So they charged him with second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter in the death of George Floyd. Now, you have second-degree murder, which is intentional murder, drive-by shootings. The drive-by shootings didn't occur. And intentional, let's see. This carries 40 years in prison. This is the cause of a death of a human being with the intent to effect the death of that person or another, but without premeditation, or causes the death of a human being while committing or attempting to commit a drive-by shooting in violation of the statutes, right? So that part comes out. But the first one causes the death of a human being with intent to effect the death of that person. That's what they have to prove. If they can't satisfy that, then you can't charge him or, well, you can't convict him of second-degree murder. Okay, that's very important. You have to read the statutes. Now, underneath that subsection 2 is unintentional murders. Carries another 40 years. Causes the death of a human being without the intent to effect the death of any person while committing or attempting to commit a felony. You have to prove that the officer committed a felony. Okay? Now, number 2, causes of death of a human being without intent to affect the death of any person while intentionally inflicting or attempting to inflict bodily harm upon a victim when the perpetrator is restrained under an order for protection and the victim is a person designated to receive protection under the order. Okay? That's going to be difficult to prove as well. Now, we have third-degree murder, right? The third-degree murder carries more than, not for more than 25 years. Now, here's the other part, too. When he is charged, probably going to have an attitude as to how many years he gets, and people just fail to not want to read the laws. And remember, each state has different laws, which means that each state has different years, okay? Remember, this is in Minnesota. All right, third-degree murder. It is without intent to cause death. Sorry, the first part. Whoever without intent to affect the death of any person causes the death of another by perpetrating an act eminently dangerous to others and evincing a depraved mind. That part right there, dangerous to others, you have to prove that the officer was a danger to others. Okay? Now, the subsection B, whoever without intent to cause death proximately causes the death of a human being by directly or indirectly unlawfully selling, giving away, bartending, delivering, that whole section is going to get thrown out. All right? So, second-degree murder, third-degree murder. Got to prove certain points of that. If you can't, then he's going to be found not guilty of second-degree murder, not guilty of third-degree murder. Now, go to manslaughter. We have second-degree manslaughter. A person who causes the death of another by any of the following means is guilty of manslaughter in the second degree and may be sentenced to imprisonment for not more than 10 years or payment of a fine of not more than $20,000. This is in Minnesota, before y'all start tripping. All right. By the person's culpable negligence, whereby the person creates an unreasonable risk and consciously takes chances of causing death or great bodily harm to another. Boom! Now that's where you get him. So, is he going to be found guilty? We all know he's going to be found guilty, but guilty of what exactly? He's guilty of second-degree manslaughter. That's what happened. And that's easily proven just by watching the video. You shaking your head?
Yeah.
Why?
He'll get off on manslaughter.
How can he get off?
Because the cop's job goes against that, and he was a cop at the time. They fired him from the force now, I think, right?
Yes.
They let him go from the force. So that's the kicker. That's the kicker. So at the time, under his job and duress, it's like being a firefighter and like going into dangerous things. That negates the second degree. And now all the other charges and stuff, yeah, they got work to prove. But second degree manslaughter, he shouldn't even have a lawyer if he can't get him off of that one.
But what do you say? No, I don't understand, because he did take the life of another by causing bodily harm.
In their job description, it's part of their role that they may cause bodily harm when acting out their job. So let's put it this: let's say the homie never died. Let's say he never died, but I had to pull him out the car, and let's say the Asian guy who was with him broke his leg, bodily harm, while they were getting him out the car because he wouldn't comply. You understand what I'm saying? Bodily harm. It's part of your job description. If they are forced to pull out their guns or whatever, I know this didn't happen, but I'm saying anytime we see that, it goes against that. You understand? It's part of their job. I get you. Like I said, that's why they
don't be mad at what Jeff said.
Yo,
because some of y'all might want to argue that, right? But
no,
what he said makes sense. Now, mind you, we're talking about the defense, okay?
Yeah.
This is their defense. Bodily harm. They can cause bodily harm, right? Now, the prosecution has to prove that it was more than that. Okay? That's why they have all these expert witnesses and they got the supervisor and everybody else coming out saying that, well, we don't use this type of force or whatever, but then you have a supervisor who hasn't been out in the field in I don't know how long. So you're sitting here telling me that you haven't used this force in so long, but you ain't physically ever been out there to actually know what warrants to use that force. So you sitting up here telling me that ain't nothing. If you haven't done it yourself, you're not in their shoes. You at a desk. So I can't listen to you. Understand what the defense is doing too when he's cross-examining. Because he's going over everyone's history, because he's showing you that this person has a lot of knowledge, but that person ain't out there. This person isn't, dealing with what they're dealing with.
Discrediting the witness.
Basically, yes, discrediting the witnesses. That's what he's going to do. Y'all are mad at the defense doing what the defense is supposed to do. If any one of y'all commit a crime, you better hope that you have somebody fighting for you. Because if y'all don't want anybody fighting for or having a good defense, then a lot of people are just going to be thrown in jail. That's the reality. So he was charged with second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. That's a lot. But you have to prove, and it's beyond a reasonable doubt. So you can't get mad at the jury, because if the jury sit here listening to all the testimony, they could watch the video 500 million times. But as they watch the video 500 million times, and I can't wait for the defense to go, because they're going to be on top of this. I know it. Because y'all talked about how the man can't breathe. He been said he couldn't breathe. I just got into an argument with a friend talking about it, and all he kept saying was he had his knee on his neck, saying that he can't breathe, choking him. So explain to me why he couldn't breathe when he was sitting in the car. Y'all can't give me that answer, right? So when you got all these experts coming out, I need for an expert to explain to me why he couldn't breathe when he was sitting in the car. Why he couldn't breathe when he stood up. Why he couldn't breathe when he was sitting on the sidewalk. Why he couldn't breathe when he was just leaning against the cop car. Why he couldn't breathe when he was actually sitting in the car with his leg out talking about he can't breathe. He claustrophobic. He been said the entire time he couldn't breathe. So what was going on with his body internally that caused him not to be able to breathe? And I do believe he was COVID positive. What's up?
We don't know about the COVID positive.
Yes, we do, because we got a copy of the report.
What? They did the autopsy already?
Yeah.
So then they know about the any drugs in the system, right?
Yep, I'm about to tell it to you.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. Oops.
So what they're trying, while you look for that, what they're trying to say by he can't breathe, but nobody is articulating it out. It's saying, is to put another analogy. If a woman says she's pregnant, are you going to throw on her belly?
Hold on. So here.
No, I'm just saying fill in
Oh,
time.
yeah.
But go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying it's just putting it to another analogy. If you couldn't breathe, if the guy complained from the beginning before we took him out of the first car, he couldn't breathe. I'll give you that. Why would we block anything of his airway? We could have held him down. We could have two of us together restrained him. We could have whatever.
But they weren't restraining him. When he first talked about he couldn't breathe, they had him sit down on the sidewalk. Nobody ever approached him except for the one cop with the gun, but there was no intent. He told him to get his hands up, put the gun away, because the guy said he was scared, put the gun away, said, "Sir, I'm not going to shoot you." And then he kept saying to follow instructions, and he wasn't understanding the instructions,
right,
which led the cop to believe you want something.
No, we got that. But I'm saying once it was heard, he couldn't breathe, whatever point in time. So he said in the beginning before they got him out. He said it at the other time. He kept saying it. Why would you do something to impact the restriction? So once he got him down, you could have left him sitting there and called in the paddy wagon. Or I'm just saying.
The person who was on his neck, that's on trial, you have to find out, did he hear him ever say he couldn't breathe? That was on the other officers that were there restraining, because
it was on the training officers ones?
Yes.
Because everybody was a training officer except for that white guy.
Right. So everybody was doing something else. There was the other two people that were in the car. They were asking for IDs with those two. And the homegirl was like, "I'm calling my daughter because she didn't want no parts of this. She knew what time it was. She ain't had no ID." Okay. It is what it is. But if you on drugs and you doing stuff, I mean, you're going to act a little irrational. Now, here it says, no life-threatening injuries identified. No facial, oral. You know what? We're not going to go. It's like a lot of big words.
Oh, God. of what it's saying. Okay, so skim for the ones with the most important.
Okay. No scalp, soft tissue, skull, or brain injuries.
Okay.
No injuries of anterior muscles of neck or laryngeal structures.
So do you understand what that one says there?
No. It's a big word.
So your larynx, your
Yes.
jugular here, it's all your neck part.
No, your neck
That's the part where they say he was kneeling on. So if they don't have any damage to it, meaning was he dead before, post-mortem, pre-mortem? Because if I'm leaning on your neck and I'm not making a bruise, you understand what I'm saying? So no, they're not saying anything was restricting. Where is he leaning? So go ahead.
So where is he leaning? But at the same time, we're all talking about him leaning on his neck, but now it goes into how much pressure was really on his neck, right?
From all we can go by is what we think we see
All
is his
we're
body.
going by is what we see. We don't know how much pressure he was really putting. We're
That's
only
what I'm saying.
assuming, and for all we know, he's using his right leg. The left knee was on his neck. He could have been using the right leg, propping himself up, and it made it look like he was, using a lot of weight, but he probably wasn't.
That's for his defense to argue.
That's for his
using
defense, and y'all
this.
gotta be mad if
So,
they can prove that.
Keep reading. What else did he have?
Let's see.
That already got destroyed. I'm just sitting here waiting to blow up both of y'all.
Hold on.
I'm trying to give
Over
a
here.
bail. I'm trying to like, you know what? Take this.
I'm gonna blow up both of y'all.
I'm trying to give a bail.
This man is getting convicted.
We just said he was.
Oh, he getting on
No.
something.
No, he's getting convicted on a major crime.
No, I just told you you
no,
got to
go,
prove.
go ahead, do what you do.
All right,
I'm explaining
listen.
to you why.
Viral testing positive for 2019 nCoV RNA. Blood, drug, and novel substances screens. Fentanyl, 11 milligrams. Norfentanyl, 5.6.
Okay.
4-ANPP. I don't know what that is.
The toxicity amounts within the blood, but he's tested, so they have fentanyl in there.
I can't even say.
Methamphetamine.
Certain words I can't pronounce. 19 milliliters. Sorry, I said milligrams are all
I was like, this
milliliters.
nigga should have been dead. He should have made it
I
fast.
just
The
added
first hit. Like, I ain't gonna make it, mama.
Okay.
That's it.
Hydroxy delta.
Okay.
It's a lot of hydroxy delta. Carboxy, THC.
Any other? Oh, THC. So that's marijuana.
Cotinine.
Cotinine? C-O-T?
COTININE.
Okay.
Positive. Caffeine positive. Negative for ethanol, methanol, acetone, isopropanol.
So you don't even need to keep going down. I'm a
Urine positive for cannabis. Thank you.
Yeah,
Amphetamines and fentanyl.
So we had weed
Yeah.
in the system and some type of methamphetamine.
Morphine free.
Now, here's the kicker. His girlfriend was on. I saw a bit of his girlfriend was on there, and they both were users.
Yeah, she admitted that they were both drug users. Yes.
Now,
do I want to say drug users or do I want to say?
recovery, whatever
Yeah.
it is. Yeah, but
Sorry if I misspoke.
the opioid they were taking, they need to continue taking opioids so you get on a prescription one afterwards. If those match up with the prescriptions, it doesn't matter what was in the system because it doesn't matter then because he was taking his legal medication to go to his stuff. And he's still going to be loopy and doopy, whatever the hell it is.
Loopy and okay.
Whatever, the guys were calling him. Like, he was acting paranoid and he was whistling and singing songs in there. And I was like, okay.
I mean, but if he was acting all paranoid and stuff like that, should he have been operating a vehicle? Because he was in the driver's side.
That's a state question about anybody taking that stuff because there are a lot of people taking those pharmaceutical.
Because he looked like he was calm. And even the guy said when he was speaking to him, he was calm. He didn't become irate until the police showed up, and that's when his whole demeanor changed. His friend, the female, said he got shot some years back, and he doesn't really like cops, so that's probably why he's acting the way he's acting. But he was moving a mile a minute, and if you look at the cops were very calm during the situation. So basically, they were triggered because of his reaction, and was like, sir, what's wrong with you?
Which cops were triggered? Because we already said the other
one
two.
who was taking the information. I don't remember who was who.
But we get it. But see, that plays a part too. Hence, why aren't the other guys up there taking some other degree of whatever it is.
And then you had some cops in the store. You had some cops with the vehicle.
Why aren't everybody taking a beating with it? I'm with that. Chauvan. I've messed up his name. I'm with him on that point. Hey, oh, you, and you. Let's go together. I may have been a guy on his knee, but you guys were there too. I may have been the commanding officer, and nobody wanted to pull rank on me. Fair enough, because after the end of the day, I'm gonna make your life a living heck. But it goes to say, okay, somebody could have took him.
But even on the video, from where you can see the officers in clear view, the other video that was showing from behind, and you can see the officers from behind, you can see that it looked like they were taking direction from the officer.
Which officer?
Chauvan. Yes. So, I mean, they're just behind.
So, again.
The Asian one is the one that I question because he didn't know what he was doing.
So, again, was it set up? I was already going to do it. I was already. Chauvan may have been triggered because I don't like the way you handling it. Hey. Push it. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Is that the case? Again, another reason why they need to be there to give their testimony.
Screw them. I just need him on the stand to explain to us what the heck he was doing because nobody knows. You had a whole crowd yelling at you. The man stopped moving. And, I mean, I this much I know.
I'm with you.
I feel as though I would have told him plead guilty and then work out a plea agreement.
Who?
Chauvan. To plead guilty. You was already, here's the thing. You watched the video. The man stopped moving. It didn't make any sense for him.
You yourself said they're going to have a hard time proving
forget that
the
part.
First two.
But say before this.
How about you?
My whole thing is, if you're still on the man, maybe you were trying to calm him down and trying to get him just to stop because he was not complying at all. So say your idea was, we're just going to lay him down. I want you to stop moving, period, because you're doing too much. You're doing too damn much. Now, say you want him to stop. When he stopped moving, period, why didn't you get up? You literally stayed on the man's neck until the ambulance came and the guy tapped you to get off. So why were you still there? But then also to play devil's advocate, how much pressure, if they didn't find any wounds on the neck, how much pressure did you really put on him? Because if he's saying not guilty, maybe when he gets up on the stand, he's going to say, I didn't even apply that much pressure on his neck. Like, all the pressure was on my right leg, was never on my knee. You know what I mean? He could have just had his knee right there, and it looked like the guy was struggling, and he literally wasn't doing anything.
I get you, but you got to play both sides, because then why would you continue to lay on somebody who's for that point at a dead body?
I'm not gonna say dead body. For him, he probably thought he had passed out by this time. Like, oh my gosh.
Even worse, you don't beat up somebody who is there. There are cops who have been fired for that. Once you knock somebody out, whether it be legal or not, you don't continue to wail on them. That's the issue. That's why a lot of people get caught up when they have these riots and stuff, and they cold cock somebody out. Now they can put the cuffs on and then roll the body over.
So would they have gotten in trouble let's rewind. Would they have gotten in trouble if they had him in the back seat and when George went to lean over and wasn't complying, they could have pulled him over to the side and just left him laying there in the back seat? Would they have gotten in trouble for that?
What do you mean? So, like, they didn't shut the door? Like,
no, they shut the door.
Okay.
And while he was just laying, because you know how tight the back seat is. So if he was just laying there, they would have just left him. But they have gotten in trouble for just letting him lay there.
If he was in a non-responsive position.
While he was responsive.
Then no. As long as you are responsive. You could be cursing, screaming, whatever. But the moment you black out, right, and it's like, it's been 30 minutes.
Before he blacks out. So then the question that the questioner should ask him when he gets on the stand, what was the reason for you taking him out of the car? Because you already had him in the car. You could have closed the door. What was the reason? Because he can't get out. What is the reason you took him out? That's the question.
That's the question that's gonna be like, well, why we do this? You had him in. He was just acting funky. You could have rolled him to the hospital if you wanted to and had him on a 48-hour stay or whatever Minnesota does. Or you could have did this or for this. Why didn't you make any of these other decisions? When you had him sitting there and he was panicking and doing all that, you could have maybe called for a paddy wagon. All right, it may have been 30 minutes away before somebody got a van to it where he can be bigger room and it just chained up on one of those gates. That's what I said, he had options. But he can't show that because he has to flex it to the trainees. This is how we do it, son. Get it done. It's a messed up thing. And like I said, with that other one, he can easily get off. If the lawyer is good. If the lawyer is good. But there's going to be a lot of questions. Now, what were you going to say?
Moment of truth.
All right. This man's going down. And the reason why I say that, the state of Minnesota would not be able to handle, and across the United States would not be able to handle the backlash of it. First, I want to give a shout out to the Minnesota Police Association, who put up the $1 million for his defense, even though he's no longer an officer. Let's give them a round of applause, you racist asses. All right, so.
What does race have anything to do with it, though?
Yeah.
You think it does?
A white man's on trial for killing a black man. Yeah. So
it could have just been poor police judgment.
His defense was put up by the police that he's no longer a part of. That
Is this the white union? The white one?
Yeah.
They do it. No, they do it. No,
Yes.
no joke. They have different unions.
Yes.
You didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
There's a white union, and I'm sorry, Truth. Hold on.
There's
a
a
white.
Latino. There's a black, and then there's the one that's for the white folks.
Has the black,
Everyone has
I forgot
them.
what they call.
Yep.
Oh,
Everyone has them.
Honestly, keep it in the buck. I did not know that.
Yeah. That's something you really got to know.
Okay.
Go ahead.
so
Go ahead. This story.
After we give a shout out to them, this man will have the book thrown at him. All right. The defense, even though this is a high-powered lawyer that is called upon a lot, that's his neck. I mean, that's his stint. When there's a police officer on trial, he gets the call.
Okay, no problem. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at
He
that.
has a problem defending this guy, and I'm not saying he has a problem defending him. I'm talking about the way his defense is romper room.
He can't make an argument.
Is no argument. His big argument is that Mr. Floyd died because he was a drug user, not because his air was stopped.
Right.
All right. Here comes the gentleman, witness number one for the prosecution, who is pretty much the damning nail in coffin, straw camelback, any kind of analogy you want to use. This is a man who is a professional MMA fighter. He doesn't do it for fun. He went on the stand and said that these police officers use this move in the gym and
have been married before, once, twice, 3 times.
Ew.
And they're still looking for love.
No, I'm good.
One lady was married to a pastor. She was the first lady, but she had made mention that, the calls coming in at 12 a.m., 1 a.m. when she's laying down with her husband and they want him to pray over them. Like, that got to be too much. And
You know what you married.
okay, now that I know 12 o'clock, that's just disrespectful. Who calling at 12 o'clock that you need prayer?
Could be
He's a
Jesus.
pastor.
She has been single for 17 years.
Okay.
Because she focused on her career.
Nice.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. So that made me do the calculations, and I realized that I've been
Understand
a
what a
drug
relationship
addict. I
really
don't know where the
is.
hell he at.
A lot of people don't understand what a relationship really is. That's putting us before me. And a lot of people aren't willing to do that.
Neither is she. That's why
Exactly.
she was quiet as shit.
No!
She was
No,
like, whoa.
no, that's not what it was. I thought you had something else to say. I can put us before myself.
Not the conversations
Listen,
we've
I'm
been
trying
hearing.
to find a man,
Not the
a
conversations
partner.
we've been hearing.
What?
The conversations we've been hearing. You
So-
putting yourself first every time.
So, okay, bet.
But here's
Okay,
the thing.
nigga. Well, I don't speak that language. Right?
But you're a glutton for punishment.
Hey.
You already know he lying, but your pride won't let you let it go until he actually says he's lying.
Yeah.
Because I want to know.
Why you want to know? He already told you.
No, he didn't. Well,
He
no,
did
he
tell
told me
you.
that he was married. I don't know if he was divorced or separated.
Okay,
But
he-
it's all a
he-
deal breaker for you,
he
so it doesn't matter.
Told you
But I still want
already.
to know.
Your pride.
Why? That's what he's
your
saying.
pride
That's
wants
exactly
to hear
what he's
the
saying.
yes or
You
no.
wanna know.
So
Yeah.
it's your pride.
Because, damn it, I deserve to know.
How you don't? You're a very intelligent woman.
You
You
already
can't
know.
realize that that's the answer to that question was yes.
You already know.
You already know. So your pride is making you miserable.
I'm not miserable.
Your
I just
pride
want to
made
know.
you single for 11 years. Like me and Jeff said, you're the problem, not them.
And the show is done.